This is Drew and Ethan. Welcome back to the Holy Huddle.
Yep.
And today it's the Big 12 tier list, and hopefully we actually get the whole video this time and I don't lose the footage. And our first team we're starting with is Arizona. When I look at Arizona, I see a very underwhelming recruiting class, very under, they're not in the top, barely in the top 50 for recruiting, and in a Power 4 conference that's not, it's not amazing. And then you see transfer rank only 37. They did all right, but really and honestly, they still have Noah Fafita. Maybe have one, two returning receivers. Lots of transfers coming in at the receiver position. So very, very lots and lots of questions about this receiver core. And about, I heard this stat just a minute ago that 5,000 of Noah Fafita's career passing yards are from Tetaroa McMillan. I
And
think
he's gone.
And yeah, he's out of there. So
Yeah.
how will Noah Fafita do without Tetaroa McMillan? And that's probably the biggest question for the Arizona Wildcats.
Yeah. And I mean, Noah Fafita, their starting quarterback last year, he threw for 2,958 yards. And like you said, most of that was to his top guy, McMillan. So that's going to be interesting to see who steps up at the receiver position for him. And obviously, running the football is going to be big at Arizona. Quill Conley, he rushed for 745 yards. We just mentioned Tatora McMillan had over 1,000 yards receiving last year. Dalton Johnson, defensive back, had 94 tackles last year. And then Jack Luttrell had 3 interceptions. So obviously they lost McMillan last year to the draft, but I
Yeah,
think they bring back.
they don't have their starting running back either
Yeah.
from last year. So
that's going to be an interesting thing to see if Arizona can get a couple of new guys to step into those 2 roles.
yeah, and this Ishmael Mahadi from Texas State, man, I did a really good job with that name. Rushed for over 900 yards at Texas State, so I think he could be an impact player for them on the running end of it. But when I look at Arizona, I see someone who's really a long shot to win the conference this year, just because they weren't very good last year. They lost a lot of that production and had to replace it. It was a lot of patchwork. There's a lot of patchwork this year in the transfer portal. I can't see them doing amazing.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest. So if Noah Fafita steps up, they can maybe make a bowl game. But I'm going to put them in the always next year tier.
Well, and he just said, so they picked up a running back who had over 900 rushing yards last year at Texas State, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and some key players going into this year for Arizona that I think will need to step up. Fleur Owens, defensive lineman, Luke Wysong, wide receiver, and then Noah Fafita,
he's a big one,
quarterback. So, and then just looking at their schedule for this next coming year, I mean, they got some tough road games. I'll just spell it out for you. All right, they play Hawaii and Weber State at home their first 2 weeks. Then they play Kansas State at home, so they're already getting into the meat of the schedule. Because after that, they go to Iowa State. They play Oklahoma State at home, which I don't think Oklahoma State's really going to jump off the radar. BYU at home, at Houston, at Colorado, Kansas at home, at Cincinnati. They play your Bears and Baylor at home, and then they finish off at Arizona State. So that kind of spells out their schedule.
Yeah.
I think the several games that's going to be interesting to see for them is obviously that rivalry game against Arizona State. Rivalry games always, you can throw everything out the window because it's all bragging rights and things always happen. But I think I'm interested to see in that kind of back-to-back at Houston and at Colorado. I think that'll be an interesting 2 weeks for them. I think at Iowa State, not saying it's a long shot, but I think the Cyclones might just have a little bit of an edge on them.
I think the Cyclones are going to be a consistent team every single year.
Yeah. I mean, BYU was good last year, so and then Baylor at home, and who knows? I'm not saying they're going to win, but they have some of these big 12 games at home, which are big games, and maybe they pull out one or two of them and try and maybe get to 8-4.
Maybe.
But I would say next year is kind of the,
Mm-hmm.
or even I wouldn't be afraid to put him in the mid. Maybe not always next.
Maybe, yeah. We'll maybe move him up to the mid tier. I feel good about that.
Yeah, because
Just because of what you said.
I don't feel like they're gonna be like terrible, but I also don't think they're gonna be in
Yeah,
the
they're
top.
not going to be terrible. They're
Yeah,
not going to be terrible.
yeah. So
And then we got Arizona State,
they're good old rival.
who has a lot of expectations coming into this year,
Yeah.
especially with cute redshirt sophomore Sam Levitt coming back
Mm-hmm.
in. First round aspirations from this kid.
Well, and speaking on him, the guy passed for 2,885 yards. Obviously, they lost their best running back, maybe in school history, potentially by far, Cam Scadaboo, who rushed for 1,711 yards. Jordan Tyson, wide receiver, had 1,101 yards receiving. Miles Browser had 98 tackles at defensive back. And then Javon Robinson had 3 interceptions last year.
Yeah. When I look at this roster, I see a lot of returning production, a lot of guys from that playoff team. And someone that really sticks out to me, the kid named Jordan Tyson, had the most receiving yards in a 6-week stretch to end the season last year.
Really?
If he didn't get hurt, I believe they could have won that playoff game against Texas.
Okay.
But that's in the past. Are we looking at this
Right.
roster this year? Returning every single defensive starter except one, and that's at nickelback. And that's a transfer named Kendrick Breedlove.
Gotcha.
And they brought in a running back from Army, Kanye Udo. So they're going to have more of that physical running style per usual. But I see this as a team that can win the conference again.
For sure. And I mean, top players that are coming back for the Sun Devils. Again, Sam Levitt, Jordan Tyson. I would even add in defensive back Zion Alford, and then defensive lineman and CJ Fit. It's Fiat or Fit. So yeah. So I definitely think Arizona. I think place them in conference contender.
I would put them in playoff contender, honestly.
You put that? Yeah, I would say so. Obviously, they lost Cam Scadaboo, but and looking at their schedule as well, this is what it looks like. Honestly, I think it's pretty manageable. They play Northern Arizona at home. They go on the road. This might be a game where I might lean towards the Bulldogs. They play at Mississippi State. That'll be a very intriguing game, I think.
Yes.
They play Texas State at home. They play at Baylor. That'll be a tough one. TCU at home, at Utah, Texas Tech at home, Houston at home, at Iowa State, West Virginia at home, at Colorado, and then they take on the rival Arizona.
And yeah, that seems like a very manageable schedule to me, at least for the Sun Devils.
Yeah. The only games I'm a little bit like, I don't know if they'll come up with the win there, is at Mississippi State, just because I just feel like Mississippi State's going to be a better team, and I like their offense. And then at Baylor, I think it's going to be a tough game. And then at Utah and at Iowa State could be a tricky one.
Yeah.
But yeah.
If they're an experienced squad, they're going to play like an experienced squad against these teams. They're going to play like they've been there before, and that's why I think they're another playoff contender again this year. Could everything flop? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is assuming. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying. Well, and I also think they're also going to be trying to use what they did last year as motivation, because frankly, did anyone really think Arizona State was going to make the college football playoffs last year and make the deep run that they did? I would argue no, but they did. And so I think because they were so close to beating Texas and potentially maybe even playing for a national championship, I don't know. I think this team is going to be a very motivated squad, and I wouldn't be surprised if they made more noise this year in the Big 12.
I love Kenny Dillingham as a head coach.
Yeah.
Brings some of that young swagger and energy we look for in a coach. And then we have Baylor.
Yep. Your Baylor Bears.
Yep, my Baylor Bears. If I had to describe us as one thing, it'd be a dark horse because we could sort of go 8-4, 7-5. Really don't know. I think the first game against Auburn is going to be a massive, massive, massive test.
Yeah.
Just because, Auburn's a team that improved in the offseason. We're a team that, improved in the offseason. We're starting to receive all this hype, and I don't really know how to feel about it, if I'm being completely honest. I mean, our quarterback, is a returning QBR leader, the returner in thinking all of college football for QBR in all college football, which is a good sign, especially if you are a Baylor fan. Sawyer Robinson, expect him to have a very big year. Returning receiver core, we got Kobe Prentice, we got him on transfer, we got Josh Cameron, who's not only an amazing returner but also an amazing receiver.
Mm-hmm.
We got Ashton Hawkins coming back, who had a little bit of fighting to do with the NCAA to get that extra year eligibility. Cole Wilson from Texas State, who's another solid one. We held on to our tight end, Michael Trigg. We have a running back returning, Bryson Washington, who rushed for over 1,000 yards as a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously my big question mark is, can Bryson Washington really take the load on offense? That's really my only thing. I think Sawyer is going to clean up his footwork and have a really good season, but I don't really have to worry about the offense. They're going to put up tons of points. The one thing I'm really worried about is the defense.
Well, and just a couple of things here as well. The one thing that Baylor has had struggles with in the past, over the past couple of years, is starting off strong in the season. Because, for a couple of years now, Baylor's lost to some, they've lost to Texas State, they've lost to, just smaller teams, game 1 or game 2 of the year, and they get behind the 8 ball. I feel like if they get behind the 8 ball against Auburn and things really start to fall apart, that could be detriment. That could be costly. And so, again, like what you said, that game against Auburn, I think, could set the tone for the rest of the year. Now, it's one game. One game can only do so much. But I also think, especially winning your home opener against an SEC team with some of this hype that's coming in, you've got to live up to that expectation and understand that if you want to be the team that you want to be, you've got to win those games. And so, last year, some of the team leaders that you just mentioned, Sawyer Robinson, he threw for 3,071 yards. Bryson Washington rushed for 1,028 yards. And we just mentioned before coming on air that Baylor just lost one of their top running backs from last year to a foot injury.
Dawson Pendergrass.
And so will Bryson Washington be able to really carry that extra load, not having that kind of 1-2 punch anymore? Josh Cameron had 754 receiving yards last year. Keaton Thomas, linebacker, had 106 tackles. And Devian Bobby had 3 interceptions last year.
Devin Bobby, yeah.
So, and then coming into this year, obviously Sawyer Robertson. Sorry, I couldn't pronounce his name.
No, it's good.
But I really think that they can't start off sloppy like they had the last couple of years. You know what I'm saying? And they've been prone to that. And some starters that are coming back, which I think are going to be huge. Obviously, Sawyer Robertson, Bryson Washington, and then Dawson Pendergrass.
Yeah, that's the guy who's out with injury. So
yeah,
he won't really make much of an impact unless it's on the sideline cheering his team on. But
go ahead.
I look at this defense, and I see returners in the secondary. A secondary that is very experienced. Devin Bobby is senior. Caden Jenkins will be on his 3rd year starting. LeVar Thornton, who's going to be starting, who's going to be on his 2nd or 3rd year starting. And then we got a transfer from Ohio State. And there's just a lot of experience in the secondary. I think that's where we win and lose.
Well, and defensively for you guys, Mikey Bailey, I think is a defensive star, is a key watch for Baylor. He's projected to be a first-round early draft pick next year as he's entering his senior year. So y'all definitely have some offensive talent that's coming back. Obviously, y'all lost a huge running back in y'all's running back room. But on the bright side, again, I still think y'all can have a good year. And let me just spell it out for you again. Not at Auburn at home, at SMU. So already those 2 games, first you already have an SEC team, and then you have a team that was in the playoffs last year.
Mm-hmm.
With a returning quarterback, with a lot of their roster coming back. So those first 2 weeks, if y'all mess up, it's like the sky's falling all over again. But y'all play Auburn at home, at SMU, Sanford. Dear gosh, I hope y'all don't lose to Sanford. Otherwise, I'd throw you out of any kind of contention. Sorry. And then Arizona State at home, at Oklahoma State, taking on Kansas State at home, at TCU, at Cincinnati, UCF at home, Utah at home, at Arizona, and Houston at home. So looking at this, you have you have like 3 or 4 home games that if you don't win, you're going 6-6, and Dave Aranda is out of there in Waco. I'm sorry, but I think that
it's a really big boomer bust type of season for us this year.
It is. I mean, and yeah, y'all can't. I mean, y'all have to win the games that y'all are supposed to win. And like I said, if Sanford pulls something out of their ass and beats y'all in Waco, it's almost like you're just now getting into the meat of your year. But honest to goodness, I think Baylor is a conference contender, I would say.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to put them too.
I think the best case scenario is 10-2. Worst case scenario, I think, is like 6-6.
I'd like to agree there because, that TCU game in Fort Worth is always tricky for us.
Yeah.
It's just very tricky.
Yeah.
And then there's obviously a bunch of hard road games, but if we can start the season off on fire, I think we will be just fine.
Yeah. I just think that Auburn game's a big one for both teams.
I think, but honestly, it's just going to really come down to the defense. If the defense steps up, takes a step forward, the offense is going to put up 30 a game easy.
Oh, yeah. Especially with Jake Spavital being, his offensive coordinator.
And then we got the Mormons. BYU.
Oh, and quick shout out, Edward Griffin, former Coppell High School quarterback, now with the Baylor Bears. So we'll see how he does.
Yep. We'll see how his career turns out.
Yep.
And then we got who had a lot of drama this offseason as they lost their star quarterback, Jake Radsliff, to a honor code violation. Buddy was sleeping around at a very religious college and got caught. Oof. So that basically says everything about BYU we need to know. At least they're doing something right.
Well, losing their quarterback wasn't necessarily a small loss either, because you know why? Jake Radsliff he passed for 2,947 yards last year, so that's not a small loss. L.J. Martin, their running back last year, rushed for 718. Chase Roberts, in receiving yards, had 854 receiving yards.
God leaves that dude a problem.
Isaiah Glasker had 70 tackles at linebacker, and then Jacob Robinson had 3 interceptions at defensive back.
Yep.
So. And yeah, Chase Roberts, I'm pretty sure he gave y'all a hard time at Baylor.
Yep, thank goodness. Oh, he's returning. He's in the slot. Oh, the scrappy white guy. It's always the scrappy white guys that cook us. We're in for a treat.
I'll be watching.
But I just, with this quarterback situation, sort of just dissipating, I don't know who's going to start at quarterback for them. Is it going to be Bear Bachmeyer? Is it going to be McKay Hillstead? I don't know any of their quarterbacks. I knew a decent amount about, Jake Radsliff, but, he decided to mess up and, go to end up transferring out and go into the Tulane, which that was a tricky situation. That transfer situation was so tricky anyway for him to even get out. He couldn't even enter the transfer portal. But, this receiving core looks to be decent. A lot of their production is returning there.
Mm-hmm.
So I see really good. I can see really good versions of this BYU team because they are very well coached, and they're always a sneaky team that'll sneak up on you every single year.
Well, and just some players to look out for too coming into this year. They actually just recently got a commitment from 5-star quarterback Ryder Lyons.
Yes, yeah, that Mormon money is really starting to show, isn't it?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Joseph Smith said you can't donate to the NIL fund. Sorry, guys.
Okay, buddy.
Stop donating to the NIL fund. Joseph Smith says so. Please.
You're going to have to say send the same things for Utah, too, when we get to
Thou shalt not donate to NIL fund.
Yeah.
Let me write that in the Book of Mormon. I bet all of them would believe it too.
Dang, you're throwing a ton of shade.
I make jokes.
Ooh.
It's just who I am. I love to throw jokes,
just
and they won't even talk trash. They won't even talk trash back. They'll just smile.
you just
They're the type of guy. They're the type of guys to get their smile while they get punched in the teeth. Like they could have one tooth left and they'll still be smiling. Like
Yeah.
those are very nice. They're too nice.
They're too nice. Actually, I think I saw, this is off topic. I'll just share this quick story. I think I saw on Instagram these two Mormon guys who went to this lady's house or whatever, and in their front yard. So they rang the doorbell, and the lady answered the door. It's like, "Hey, I have a dog it's a guard dog. So if he sees anybody come to the house, he's gonna attack them." And so they were like, "Can we at least pray over you or whatever?" And so the dog eventually comes out of their little dog house and starts attacking these these Mormon guys, and I'm like, dude, that would be a tough day to live there.
And guess
man.
what? They're wearing straight white too.
Yeah, and they're wearing nice pants as well, so that dog might have ripped their pants or something.
The only thing holy about those pants is the actual holes in them.
Jeez, man, dang.
But
Okay.
Going back to BYU.
Jeez. Man,
Going
you might
back
get
to
some.
BYU, I see this team, lots of defensive returners, lots of returners on offense. They retain their talent really well. And when I see someone who retains their talent really well, they usually succeed.
Yeah.
Now, will they be a conference contender, playoff contender? Probably not, just because of the production they lost at the quarterback position. If they can figure that out, though, this could be a very, very solid season for the Cougars.
Well, and their schedule looks like this. So they take on Portland State at home, Stanford at home. They go on the road.
Portland State's been picking it up, it's Sac State that's been picking it up in recruiting.
Yeah. Then they go to Eastern Carolina, at Colorado, West Virginia at home, at Arizona, rival game against Utah at home, at Iowa State, at Texas Tech. That's a 2-game stretch. That's really tough. TCU at home, at Cincinnati, and then taking on UCF at home.
Sounds like a pretty favorable schedule, or a decent schedule, to run the tables with.
Yeah, the only thing that might be a concern for them is having to go to Arizona, then flipping back to play their rival Utah at home, and then having to go back-to-back to Iowa State and to Texas Tech.
Texas Tech is a squad this year.
Yeah.
So is Iowa State. Stanford is always sneaky.
Yeah, kind of.
But especially West Virginia this year with their new head coach who's coached there for years before coming back, Rich Rodriguez. He'll be interesting. But,
sure.
I still see this as 8 wins, 9 wins for them, potentially.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I think they're going to finish the top half of the conference.
Yeah, I would put them in the top half of the conference as well.
I think they're finishing top half of the conference just because they're returning, they're coaching, but what's keeping me from putting them higher is the quarterback situation. And then we got, Cincinnati, who didn't do too well. They sort of fizzled out. They had a 5-2 start, really, really solid start. It looked like they could, maybe contend for the Big 12 last year. And then they sort of fell off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Their returning quarterback, Brenton Sorsby, transfer in at the running back position. From Wisconsin, Tawi Walker. Bunch of transfers at receiver, Jeff Caldwell, Caleb Goody, and Cyrus. He came. Yeah, to Louisiana Tech, and now he came to... I knew that name sounded familiar, but I really don't see Cincinnati doing amazing this year.
Well, from last year, so Brendan Sorsby passed for 2,813 yards. Corey Kiner, the running back, rushed for 1,153 yards. Xavier Henderson, wide receiver, had 738 receiving yards. Barlett, the linebacker, had 69 tackles, and Josh Mickens, defensive back, had 2 interceptions last year. And then Landon Young, running back. Okay. So I would say Isaiah Johnson is a big-time guy for them. Matthew McDoom. Both these guys are... So Isaiah Johnson's a sophomore. Matthew McDoom is a senior. Dante Cordeline, redshirt senior defensive lineman. And then I would also say redshirt senior Ty Walker is a big name that maybe you should keep in your list for any kind of big-time players for Cincinnati. And then looking at their schedule, they kind of hop in right into it. They play Nebraska at home. They play Bowling Green at home and Northwestern State at home. Then they go on the road to Kansas, Iowa State at home, UCF at home, at Oklahoma State, Baylor at home, at Utah, Arizona at home, BYU at home, and then at TCU. I would put them where Arizona is.
The mid tier.
Yeah.
Man, if you can even see the logo, guys, it's very, very dark.
It's kind of camouflaged, yeah.
But, yeah, I just think they have the talent to make a bowl game, but they don't have the talent to any more than that.
No, for sure.
Brenton Sorsby's been getting a lot of hype, but I just don't think he's as good as everybody's making him to be.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I just think they finish mid, they make a bowl game, and end of story.
I mean, I don't have any more on that.
And then we got Colorado and the primetime-led Buffaloes.
Yep.
I'm ready. Who ready? I'm ready. Who ready? I'm ready. Well, give me my darn theme music then, DJ.
Who, they're an interesting team this year. They lost Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders to the NFL, but they also returned some production. They got Omarion Miller, who is really good. Jordan Seaton at tackle, just to name a few. Preston Hodge at nickelback, who was really good.
Well, and they really started to make some noise last year in the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that famous Hail Mary against Baylor kind of did them a solid, but,
But and obviously Prime has had some health issues this season, this offseason, so will that affect how they play? I don't necessarily know, but I think any coach Prime-led team is going to have some flair. They're going to have some swagger. They're going to come out of the gates swinging.
Honestly, for Colorado, I think they're a possible 10-win team this year.
Really?
I think so. I honestly don't think they're going to slack off anymore. Maybe they drop a couple of games. Maybe they go 9-3, but I would put them in conference contender.
Really? That's a surprise.
I like Colorado. I just think that I don't know. I just think Deion Sanders, what he did at Jackson State was really impressive. And I think that, sorry, my dad's right there. I think that he's upped the standard at Colorado, and I don't think they're going to go back. I think they're going to keep going forwards. And I would say that I would put them where Baylor is right now.
Wow.
I think they're better than BYU. I definitely think they're better than Arizona and Cincinnati.
Even with the quarterback situation, because they got highly ranked freshman Julian Lewis, and then they got Caden Salter coming in from Liberty. They don't know what they're going to do. They've replaced 4 starters on the offensive line due to transfer. Do you really think it's going to meld that quickly?
I just think the culture there is in a better place than it's been. I think that Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders, obviously Shedeur Sanders has had his moments about, is his work ethic really that good? Is he a good teammate? But I like Colorado. Again, I definitely think they're better than Arizona and Cincinnati, just in my personal opinion. I think they're better than BYU. I don't think they're better than Arizona State, but I would say they're right where Baylor is. I would put them in conference contender.
That's a hot take.
I would put them in conference contender. I like Deion Sanders. They start off okay. So let me read you their schedule then. Since I'll do the schedule. They start off with Georgia Tech, and that game's at home.
But Georgia Tech I love Georgia Tech against them, just because their defense Colorado's defense hasn't shown a whole lot of consistency. They're not consistent. No. They got a bunch of transfers in at the linebacker position, at the strong safety position. I just don't see them melding that fast. They got Delaware. That's probably a win. Houston could always sneak up on you with their new quarterback, Connor Wakeman, and a bunch of other offensive weapons returning. Wyoming, probably not going to be an issue. BYU might be a slight issue. Then you got TCU, who's returning Josh Hoover, who's a really good quarterback, and a bunch of other offensive targets and transfers. Iowa State, who's always a good squad. Utah, who's a wild card every year. You don't know what you're going to get from them. Arizona, West Virginia, Arizona State, and Kansas State. They're playing Kansas State at Kansas State. And they're playing Utah at Utah, which is a tough environment as is. I see maybe 7-5, 8-4.
Really?
I see a bowl game, but I don't see contending for the conference.
I would say, for me, I think they beat Arizona. I think they go to Utah and win. I think they lose to Arizona State and Kansas State, but I'm just gonna say but.
I think they lose to Iowa State too.
Really, at home? You think so?
Iowa State's a solid ball club, and so is TCU and Fort Worth. I mean, TCU's a good squad again this year.
I don't know. Honestly, and we'll get to it in here a little bit. I'm not that extremely high on TCU, but I think this. My personal opinion. I think they could go 9-3 and get to 10 wins, and maybe compete for the conference.
It's a big maybe.
I think it's a possibility.
Big maybe.
As a matter of fact, I would be confident enough and set up here and say maybe Colorado is able to pull the upset over Iowa State at home.
Oh, there's just so many maybes in that variable.
Yeah, but no, I think they could go 9-3 or 10-3. I'm high on. I don't think they're gonna lack this year, even though they lost some talent. I don't think. I mean, we already know. The last year, they lost Shedeur Sanders, they lost Travis Hunter. I feel like they've done a really good job in recruiting, and I feel like they're doing a good job of developing the players. Yeah, I think, and coming back for Colorado as well, let me just bring up some top players for them.
Man, you're really high in Colorado this year.
I mean, why not?
I think they're a rebuilding team this year, if anything.
I think they've upped the standard there. I think
they make a bowl game, yes, but conference contender is crazy.
I would still argue conference contender.
I would say maybe top half, maybe.
No, I think
because that is a hard Big 12 conference schedule.
I think there's something there that people haven't seen yet.
I just can't with their quarterback situation. They don't have a starter yet.
Well,
they haven't named their starter.
So here's their quarterback outlook right now. So Caden Salter, transfer from Liberty, is expected to lead the offense at quarterback. I mean,
but then you got Juju Lewis, because even Deion Sanders said in the media he doesn't know who's going to start.
Hey, sometimes that happens, and it's complete shock. They just come out of nowhere, right? But I think so. Caden Salter, so he brings experience, including a rushing threat with over 2,000 yards and 21 touchdowns in 2023. Okay, Julian Lewis, a highly talented prospect freshman, potentially could be considered the future quarterback for Colorado. But then you have Amarian Miller, you have Draylon Miller at wide receiver, Jordan Seaton at offensive tackle, DJ McKinney at cornerback. I think they still have guys. I think they still have guys, but I don't think they're a conference contender. Yes, maybe could they finish top half? Abso-freaking-lutely. I see maybe. They're a long shot to win the conference, in my opinion. Okay, interesting. I think, they can finish top half if everything goes right, of course. I'm willing to meet you on the middle ground for that. Yeah, okay. I'll say I still think they're a conference contender, but we'll go top half. I'll go top half because I'm not too keen on... there's a lot of unknowns. And when you have a lot of unknowns, you can't be too certain about anything. Mm-hmm. Well, there's definitely not an unknown about Kansas, I don't feel like. Well, not a lot of unknowns. They're returning a top starter in Jalen Daniels, who's a solid quarterback year in and year out. I don't know how he's only how he still has eligibility left. He played in that 2020 game when Texas was still in the Big 12 and upset Texas. Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Daniels. Flushed. Daniels. End zone. Caught! Kansas wins it! Jared Casey, the hero, and the Jayhawks find a way.
Well, Philly, remember why Jared Casey is even in the game. Your best receiving tight end, Mason Fairchild, got chopped to the ground and hasn't been in the game since. Jared Casey is a fullback. Don't you love this game?
57-56, the final score in Austin. The losing streak in Big 12 play is over. Jared Casey, a big reason why, and Jalen Daniels getting the start. What a performance.
Jalen Daniels practiced really well, and the coaches said command, energy.
Lots of transfers at the wide receiver position, completely new wide receiver room. But
Yeah.
lots. I think Kansas, like Lance Leopold, really, really, really good coach. Really, really good coach. And honestly, I don't think they're going to contend for the conference, but I think they're going to potentially make a bowl game again this year, or make a bowl game. I don't think. Yeah, they're going to make a bowl game.
I ain't gonna lie. I'm not completely sold on Kansas. I would put them in the mid.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Because I don't think they're. Because, I mean, for me last year, like, I kind of expected Kansas for what they've been able to do the last couple of years. I expected them to jump a little bit in the Big 12, but they kind of digressed a little bit. And so until I see it again, I think they're going to be in the mid part of the conference. Jalen Daniels last year had passed for 2,454 yards. Devin Neal rushed for 1,266 yards. Luke Grimm, he had 690 receiving yards. Eddie Brown had 74 tackles at linebacker. And then Mello Dotson had 5 interceptions.
Mello Dotson's good.
Yeah.
He was good.
So, and then we'll get into their schedule here in just a second, but some key players for him. Obviously, Jalen Daniels. Let's see here. Okay. So, Jalen Daniels, Dean Miller at edge, Joseph Sipp at linebacker, Emmanuel Henderson at wide receiver, and Lashawn Williams at running back. So they got a running back, wide receiver, linebacker, edge player, and then Jalen Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
For me, if Kansas really wants to make a run for a lot of things, Jalen Daniels, I think, needs to up his game a little bit more. He's
hurt too much. He struggles to stay healthy.
Yeah.
That's really been the common trend I've seen in his career. He just struggles to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And the Kansas Jayhawks, man, I mean, they're not going to be, I don't think they're going to be as potent as an offense.
No.
Just because they lost Devin Neal, who is a really good running back. And yeah, Kansas just missed out on a bowl game last year. Do I see them getting that extra win or two? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But looking at their schedule, and I'll let you read it out.
Yeah, so their schedule looks like this. So they play Fresno State at home. They play Wagner at home. They go on the road to Missouri. West Virginia at home, Cincinnati at home, at UCF, at Texas Tech, Kansas State at home, Oklahoma State at home, at Arizona, at Iowa State, taking on Utah. That's a tough schedule, I think. A very tough schedule.
Yeah. Bowl game would be an absolute win for them here.
This is just my opinion. I think they lose to Missouri at Missouri. I think they lose to Texas Tech, definitely. I think they lose to Kansas State.
Yes.
I think they lose at Iowa State.
Yes. I think they lose against Utah.
Yeah. I would say I would give Kansas the Utah game just because it's at home.
Yeah. That's fair.
If it was at Utah, I would totally choose Utah on that just because they're always in the mix.
Their environment's crazy.
Yeah. I think they lose against Arizona. Maybe even they might lose to UCF. We'll see. I think they might pull out that win, but never know. So I think 7-5 for Kansas is around.
Yes. 7-5, 6-6 is perfect. Dare I say they get 6-7 wins?
6-7. I just bit right on.
Yeah. If they manage to go 7-5, and then win their bowl game and get to 8 wins, I would count that as improvement.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
So, yeah, I think they're going to have a decent year. Definitely not in playoff. Definitely not conference contender. So I would put them in the kind of the mid range.
Yep, absolutely.
And then a team that I'm very intrigued to see because former Texas A&M quarterback Connor Wigman is at the helm at Houston.
No.
I think Houston could have a really good year. I think Connor Wigman's got something to prove. I just want to give you a short story for Connor Wigman, okay? So, coming out of high school, he was like one of the top prospects coming out of high school. Everybody wanted him. He goes to Texas A&M. First year at A&M, Haynes King and Max Johnson, poor quarterback play, injury happens, so then Wigman has to step in. He beats LSU, number 5 in the country, given when they had Jaden Daniels at the time. Then 2023, he suffered an ankle injury. Like he had something broken in his foot. And then last year, obviously poor play. He actually had an injury in his arm.
Some guys have all the luck. I was born with glass bones and paper skin. Every morning I break my legs, and every afternoon I break my arms.
Like in his pec or arm or whatever against Notre Dame. And then Marcel Reed takes over. Wigman doesn't get his spot back, and now he's back where he was before A&M in Houston. That's where he lived around that area. So I think Connor Wigman can take Houston to a pretty good season.
I think Houston will definitely have an improvement, considering that Houston was not very good last year.
Yeah.
Considering that Houston only won maybe 3-4 games last year, I think, yes, they definitely improve. How much? I don't know. It's really is Connor Wigman really being held back by Texas A&M, or is the roster around him really ready for that? We'll see.
Yeah, and last year, so Donovan Smith, 867 receiving yards. Rashawn Sanford, 444 rushing yards. Steven Johnson had 402 receiving yards. Michael Batten, linebacker, 4 tackles, and E.J. Hulkley had 5 interceptions. And then some top players for Houston. Obviously, Connor Wigman's one. And then, let's see here. Yeah, Connor Wigman, Stephon Johnson.
Tanner Kotzel, tight end from Wisconsin.
Yep. David Nukowi, left tackle. Let's see, Latrell Muchin, cornerback. And then Jose Macado, I believe. So, yeah. And then looking at their schedule, let's take a look here.
SFA, let's go.
Look at that. So they got Stephen F. Austin. They got SFA, first game.
Let's go, Jonah.
And maybe if Jonah goes to that game, SFA might win. You never know. He could be their good luck charm. Then they go on the road at Rice. And they play Colorado at home, at Oregon State, Texas Tech at home, at Oklahoma State, Arizona at home, at Arizona State, West Virginia at home, at UCF, TCU at home, at Baylor. Man, can I just mention something? This is like home away, home away, home away, home away, home away. Like, that's funny.
They're not going to be able to really catch any type of consistency, I think.
No, honestly, and this is the first time we've been doing a team, whether it was any conference, the Big Ten or SEC or Big 12. This is kind of the first schedule I've seen where it's home away, home away. Like there's no home, there's no home, there's no away,
Very
away.
mixed.
It's just home away, home away.
Yeah, it's very, very mixed.
Yeah,
I see 7, maybe 8 wins on the table here. I see SFA, that's a win. I see Rice as a win. I see Oklahoma State as a win. I see Arizona as a win. I see UCF and West Virginia as a win.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
At least this Houston squad. But I don't know what your opinion is on them, because
yeah, I would say they'd start off 2-0. I think they lose to Colorado. That's just my opinion. I think they go on I don't know. That Oregon State game could be a tricky game.
Really?
Maybe. I'm going to go ahead and give it to Houston. And then they lose to Texas Tech, which is completely fine. They beat Oklahoma State. I might surprise you on this. I think they beat Arizona, but they lose to Arizona State.
Yes. I totally agree with that.
I think they lose to West Virginia. I think they beat UCF. I think they beat TCU, and then they lose to Baylor.
Okay.
So I think they go, let's see, 1, 2. I think they go 9-3. I think 9-3 or 8-4 is around the range, I think.
Yeah, I see that as their ceiling. Absolute ceiling. Could a couple things go wrong? Yes. But I think they could finish in the upper half of the conference this year.
Oh, yeah. No, without a doubt.
If everything goes right for Houston, I see them as a team that goes top in the That's the conference. And I really struggled to get that one out, didn't I? I think, their transfer class is really solid. It sets up well for them to have a solid season. They reloaded this year. They sort of rebuilt a little bit. I kind of like that for them. Will they be a conference contender? More than likely not.
Probably not,
but I definitely see them as a squad to finish. To be okay. They're not going to be bad.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I totally agree with you.
I don't want to put them in the mid tier because I think they could slightly overachieve, but I think I'm comfortable with putting them in the top half for now and then eating shit later if they do bad. But yeah, that's my take for that. I think they finish in the upper half of the conference.
Without a doubt. And then next, a team that I think will be a conference contender for sure will be Iowa State.
I absolutely think so. For sure.
I think they have too much talent. I felt like last year when they had their little streak of losing, I felt like that was a big missed opportunity for them.
They could have made the playoffs last year.
They could. They lost to Texas Tech at home. Losing to Texas Tech at home, I feel like was a huge blow for them.
That was a low point in the season for them.
Yeah, that was a huge missed opportunity.
But I really love this roster outside of them sending 2 receivers to the NFL.
Right.
They're returning Carson Hansen, a top running back, Rocco Beck, a tight end, Benjamin Brommer. They're gonna do well. They're gonna do well. Matt Campbell is an amazing coach.
Rocco Beck, quarterback, had 3,505 passing yards last year. Carson Hansen, the running back, had 752 rushing yards. Jalen Knoll had 1,194 receiving yards. E.U. Frailer had 84 tackles at defensive back. And Jontas Williams had 4 interceptions. So, yeah, I definitely think Iowa State is going to be a key contributor in the Big 12 if they want to even make a college football playoff run.
I think they'll make some noise for sure. And that's why I'm so comfortable to put them in playoff contender, just because I think they can challenge Arizona State for that conference crown.
Well, I mean, they faced each other in the conference championship last year.
I think it's a very good, solid chance that they rematch again.
And the guy that I just mentioned, they're bringing their quarterback back, they're bringing their running back back, and then they're bringing back Xavier Townsend on offense. So they're bringing back some guys,
For sure.
And then looking at their schedule, I think it's very reasonable. They play Kansas State to open up.
That's going to be a fun game.
And it's going to be at home. I think if they can beat Kansas State, that's huge. But they play Kansas State at home, South Dakota at home, Iowa at home, big rivalry game, at Arkansas State, Arizona at home, at Cincinnati, at Colorado, BYU at home, Arizona State at home, at TCU, Kansas at home, and at Oklahoma State. This is a very favorable schedule for them.
And they played this Kansas State game in 2 weeks. Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, Iowa State, I love Iowa State. I love Iowa State in this situation. Give me them corn boys going to the playoffs this year.
Wow.
Even with the schedule.
Okay.
Even with the schedule, I see them boys contending for the conference again.
Wow. Interesting. Okay. I think that's a pretty big take, I think.
Your Colorado take was big, bro.
Yeah, I know. It's just
I'm willing to bump them down if you persuade me.
The only thing is if they start 1-2 on the year, if they lose to Kansas State at home and Iowa at home, which is I think prone could happen, then that's automatic. Like, okay, they're in trouble. But I mean, yeah, maybe conference contender, but I can understand why you would put them in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know. I sort of jumped the gun right there, and now I'm thinking. Now I'm really thinking about it. You know what? I changed my mind. I'll put them in conference contender.
Okay.
A little bit over Baylor. Yeah. Those 2 teams are basically neck and neck, in my opinion, this year. And then we got Kansas State, who's got Avery Johnson, who amazing quarterback. Great dual threat ability. Has great hair, by the way. I mean, all the ladies must love him.
That's all you care about.
Why would I care about the sex appeal of another... I'm another man.
Are you sure about that? No, I'm joking.
I'm getting gay allegations on a podcast now. Do you see a pride flag anywhere? No. I know there's a closet right there. I did not come out that closet.
Dang.
I'm No, let's get past this, please.
Some of the stuff that we say on this podcast just needs to just be on this podcast.
Wow, just this phenomenal stuff, high quality content we have going on here.
Very high quality, best quality you're gonna see.
But Kansas State returning a lot of starters to their defense. Avery Johnson, Dylan Edwards, who's a really solid performer.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of guys returning on the offensive line. A very, very old offensive line. I don't see a single underclassman on that offensive line. Bringing in some transfer receivers. Obviously, I don't know how they're going to do, but they got about one returner on the offensive side of the ball, Jace Brown, who's really good.
Mm-hmm.
But, I see them at the same spot I put Iowa State. I see them as a conference contender, maybe even a playoff contender.
Well, Avery Johnson had 2,712 passing yards last year. I think he increases that total. I think Jace Brown, I think he could have a 1,000-yard season potentially.
Mm-hmm.
And then, last year DJ Giddens had 1,343 rushing yards.
Yeah, he's gone though. So and I think Dylan Edwards is really a solid back.
Yeah. And then last year, Austin Roman, linebacker, had 96 tackles. And then Marquez Single had 3 interceptions at safeties. But I think, and then looking at some top players for this coming year, pull this up. Obviously, Avery Johnson is going to be one. And then Dylan Edwards, like you said. So a quarterback and running back. And then we also had from Coppell, a guy named Weston Polk, you might hear in the next couple of years, a linebacker, who I think could make some noise at Kansas State and be successful there. So, and then
I very well think so. I very well think, I've been hearing, at least from the Baylor crowd, that Avery Johnson's overrated. No, that dude has some serious dual threat ability.
No, I like him. He's a really good quarterback.
Definitely a conference contender. I think there's someone that can challenge Arizona State this year, for sure.
Oh, for sure.
So, dare I say, I put them in playoff contender. But
and what's interesting about this team is they don't actually have Arizona State in the regular season, so that could potentially set up maybe a Big 12 championship meeting potentially. But this is what they have to go through. They got to play Iowa State at home, North Dakota at home, Army at home. They go to Arizona, play UCF at home, at Baylor, TCU at home, at Kansas, Texas Tech at home, Oklahoma State at home, at Utah, and then Colorado at home. Awesome.
So, Kansas State.
But no, I think Kansas State, I think easily could win 9 games this year.
Oh yeah, I think they're a double-digit. I think they're a double-digit win team this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they got Iowa State, Farmageddon to start off the season.
Mm-hmm.
North Dakota, I see them beating Army. I see them beating Arizona, UCF. Now Baylor is going to be tricky. I see them beating TCU, Kansas. I see Texas Tech being a big game. Yeah, I see 9-10 wins out of this team, and so that's why I'm going to put them in conference contender.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know if we have much to say about this upcoming team.
Oklahoma State, definitely not. I don't see a lot of potential in them. They got a whole new situation going on. I don't know who their starting quarterback's going to be. They have a couple returners at receiver, but they were just absolutely horrendous. Lots of transfers on the defensive side of the ball. Lots of graduates this year. I don't see them doing too well this year.
No. There was one prediction I saw. Someone put them going 2-10. That would be
Mike Gundy would definitely be out of there.
Yeah, I'm not very high on Oklahoma State this year.
I think their ceiling is 5-7, 6-6.
Yeah,
just because Mike Gundy is a amazing head coach. He's been at Oklahoma State a long time. And I think when you spend somewhere that long, you've gone through your bad share of bad seasons.
Yeah. This is the schedule. So UT Martin at home. They go to Oregon. They're losing to Oregon. They're not beating Oregon. They play Tulsa at home. They play Baylor at home. They play at Arizona, Houston at home, Cincinnati at home, at Texas Tech, at Kansas, Kansas State at home, at UCF, Iowa State at home. They're going to lose to Oregon. They're going to lose to Baylor. They're going to lose to Texas Tech. I also think they're going to lose to Houston. And then I would say they lose to Kansas. And then I would say they lose to Kansas State. So that's 6 losses. And then I think they
can squeak out a win against Houston.
Yeah. I would
think
say
they could. I'm gonna say 4-8. I'm gonna say 4-8, 5-7, which puts them in the always next year tier.
Yep. Sorry.
Yep. And then we got TCU, who I'm really high on, but I don't know if you heard this story. Oh, it's such a funny story. Apparently, a Baylor fan, I guess, forged an image of TCU quarterback Josh Hoover. It said he posted himself in a furry outfit, which led to a bunch of funny stuff. It led to a whole college football wide Twitter thinking he was a furry. That's just freaking hilarious. That is the funniest thing I've ever seen on college football media.
Or again, because I'm trying to.
So basically, a story was fabricated that Josh Hoover was a furry. Even people like myself were even sort of like, this is too good to be true. There's some people that like genuinely thought this was true, that Josh Hoover was a man in a outfit, in a furry outfit. But it turns out after a couple news sources, sort of debunk this whole thing, Josh Hoover is not a furry. It's kind of a funny storyline into the season.
Well, this is just my own thinking. I don't really. I was that player. I would want to find that person and find out why the hell they decided to do that, because then you're just messing with their name.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but the fact that people thought he was a furry was absolutely hilarious. I thought that was freaking funny.
Well, but that goes along the lines of like just crossing boundaries with other people. Like that's just like, I don't want to be serious all the time. At some like those instances where you're like, oh, he's a furry, but he's not. It's like, I don't know why you had the balls.
I think it's a silly thing. I don't think it should be taken too seriously, because I don't think a lot of people thought he was genuinely like a furry.
No, but if people are intentionally trying, and they know what they're doing, they know exactly what they're doing. If people are intentionally trying to promote that, and they know what they're doing and trying to ruin somebody's name, I wouldn't. That's not okay.
It's not. Yeah, it's definitely not ideal. I'll say that.
It's definitely not ideal. And I just want to say too that people need to get a hobby, because there's way too many people out there on the internet that don't have a job.
Warriors.
Or they don't have a job, or they don't have something to do. And I just like to say, listen, anything that you say about anybody is ridiculous, and I don't understand why you have to bash other people for a reason that you think is reasonable. Like, it's not, to me, it doesn't make sense. Those kinds of stories just drive me crazy.
I mean, and I don't think, and genuinely, if I'm being honest, it's probably not the most Christ-like thing to do, but
no, I
don't know how many people actually took this thing seriously. Like it was a joke. Like I think even Josh Hoover himself might have had a laugh. I genuinely don't know.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, I like in that case, just put yourself in that person's shoes for maybe just a second, right? And just be like, somebody on the internet posted that you're a furry. And it's like, wait, what? Like, if I were to ask you right now, hey, Ethan, if somebody posted something about you being a furry, what would your initial reaction be? It'd probably be like, oh, this guy's gotta be joking, or who is this guy? Like, I need to find out who this guy is. Or let's say if your parents found out, they'd be like, what?
I mean, and a lot of people knew is fabricated. It was a stupid thing that somebody did.
Yeah.
And now, obviously, I'm past it. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah.
I thought it was a tad funny. It's just going around the internet. Something to mention about this TCU team. A storyline. That's what us broadcasters do. We figure out storylines.
Mm-hmm.
So I just thought that was an interesting point. Looking at TCU, they are returning a lot of kids. Josh Hoover, a great passer, coming back. running back. They got a returning at running back. Lots of returners on this TCU offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Last year, so Josh Hoover passed for 3,949 yards. Cam Cook rushed for 460. Jack Besh had 1,334 receiving yards. Johnny Hodges, 89 tackles at linebacker. He's been in college forever. Bud Clark at safety had 3 tackles.
Bud Clark is really good. Watch out for that name.
And then some key players for TCU this coming year. Let me get my. Let's see here. Let's see. Josh Hoover, Eric McAllister, wide receiver, Jordan Dyer, Joseph Majak, all 3 of those guys wide receivers, Cade Bennett, defensive guard, and Kavarian Barnes at running back, and then Bud Clark at safety. They definitely have some experience.
Yes, they do, and that's why I like them a lot. But I look at their schedule, and that schedule looks really hard.
I mean, let's see. They have 3 non-conference games, and they ain't no cupcakes at all. They go to North Carolina.
Bill Belichick.
Yep. Abilene Christian at home.
Matchup at
SMU at home. At Arizona State. Colorado at home. At Kansas State. Baylor at home. At West Virginia. At BYU. At Houston. And then Cincinnati at home. Jeez.
If they can make it through at least that first half, if they can beat North Carolina, I might believe them. I might be a believer. Bill Belichick is a great coach. I think he's going to translate wonderfully over to the college level. SMU's a good squad with Kevin Jennings coming back. Arizona State's a good team.
Yeah.
And I obviously think TCU is, again, like they're an 8-4, 9-3 team.
But definitely, I would put them in the top half.
For sure. For sure.
The only thing is, there are some really hard games on that schedule for them in conference play. And their road schedule is pretty tough, too. They go to North Carolina. They go to Arizona State. They go to Kansas State, at West Virginia, at BYU, at Houston. They could lose every single one of those road games. I don't think that's going to happen. But
they got SMU at home, though, and I like that a lot.
Yeah. If they had to play at SMU or at Colorado as well, that would be a problematic situation.
But playing at Arizona State is not ideal.
Yeah, no.
But, yeah, I see them being top half, conference contender at their absolute highest.
Gotcha.
And then we got Texas Tech, the good old oil money.
Patrick Mahomes giving them that huge dollar donation.
And then all their other rich oil people that have net worths in the billions, and they're tearing up the recruiting trail right now.
It's crazy.
They're tearing it up right now, and they got a top transfer class this past year. Number 1 on most websites, number 2 on some. Dude, this team is, man, that oil money transformed the team.
Hey, I think they're loaded.
They are. Their defense, top notch.
Yeah.
Top notch. They got tons of transfers on the defensive side of the ball. They're returning Brennan Morton back. He's going to be solid. Coy Eakin, a solid receiver. Micah Hudson,
who was at Texas A&M, at Texas Tech, at Texas A&M. That was one strange offseason.
Yeah, for him at least.
I'm just going to say this right now. I would put them in conference contender, bar none.
At least. I think I put them on the top end of that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so Bryn Morton had 3,335 passing yards. Taj Brooks, who they lost last year, had 1,505 rushing yards. Josh Kelly, a wide receiver, had 1,023 yards. Jacob Rodriguez had 127 tackles. CJ Baskerville had 4 interceptions. And then coming back for this year, they're returning their quarterback. Obviously, they lost Taj Brooks to the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'm pretty high on Texas Tech this year. Remember this too. Last year, before they lost to Baylor and had that little losing streak they had, they were 5-1 and they were 3-0 in the conference, and they were controlling their own destiny at that point.
Yes,
They just lost momentum. I felt like some parts of the season, but they returned Morton. They returned William Hammond. Offensive line, Howard Sampson, and wide receiver Reggie Vergil and Coy Eakin.
Coy Eakin is a sneaky guy to look out for.
And defensively, they're returning Lee Hunter, a transfer defensive tackle, who is supposed to make some pretty dramatic impact on the defense. So Texas Tech, man,
they're solid. and they're not going away anytime soon.
No, I think Joey Maguire. I give a lot of credit to to the athletic director, Joey Maguire, and also you gotta give some props to Patrick Mahomes too, because without
The
him,
Booster Club.
yes,
We love the Booster Club around here. That's the Booster
they got
Club
that-
carried y'all's off season.
they got that new side of the stadium, the new scoreboard they got all that money, they got that tremendous recruiting class. I mean,
Man, Texas Tech.
Everything is set up for Texas Tech to have a breakout season, okay?
Yeah.
So here's their schedule. Arkansas Pine Bluff at home, Kent State at home, Oregon State at home. Those 3 games, if they do not start 3-0, they're in a hole already. I'm just saying. But they should win those games. At Utah, at Houston, Kansas at home, Arizona State on the road, at Oklahoma State, at Kansas State, BYU, and UCF at home, and then at West Virginia on the road. Me being me, I think they start off I think they start off 5-0. I even think they start off 6-0. I think they start off 6-0 on the year. I think they lose to Arizona State. They beat Oklahoma State. I'm going to say they lose to Kansas State at home. Or not at home, but they lose to Kansas State on the road. I would say they beat BYU. They beat UCF. And I would say they beat West Virginia. So I have them going 10-2.
That's pretty good. But I always see them as that team that always underachieves. But yeah, conference contender for sure with that transfer class. I think this is the year they could possibly put it all together, and we'll see.
And here, this is what I would say. If they don't go 10-2 and underachieve, this is what I think happens. If they underachieve, that means I think they lose on the road at Utah. They lose to to West Virginia. They lose to who else? I would say Oklahoma State might do something. Oklahoma State is always one of those teams that, like, even if they're having a bad year,
they always get one.
They always get one under Mike Gundy. Always. And so, worst case scenario is like a 6-6 year for them. Best case scenario is 10-2 by far.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. And then we got UCF, who got Scott Frost back. But this UCF roster is nothing to really look at.
No. That's
not
hilarious.
Very exciting.
No.
And I think this is obviously going to be a rebuild year for UCF, if I'm being completely honest.
Can I just be completely honest here? I think it's always next year.
I think so too. Scott Frost, bringing him back to UCF, yes, that is very, very exciting. All these transfers, all these young guys in the mix, No. You got Taven Jackson. I mean, you got a bunch of new guys. I just don't see them doing well.
No.
I mean, there's always next year, and then UCF, you can always surprise us. I know Scott Frost, he's a solid coach, even though Nebraska didn't work out. I think y'all have great potential to be solid in the future, especially with Scott Frost.
Oh, yeah.
And, heck, y'all's best season with Scott Frost, y'all were undefeated. Yeah. UCF fans, I think there is some optimism here for y'all. I just don't think y'all's year is this year.
And just being completely honest, too, I think give it maybe his third year, I think UCF is back in a lot of things.
Yeah, I absolutely freaking think so.
So, yeah. And then we got the Utah Utes.
They're always a sneaky team under Kenny Whittingham, who's
and guess what?
A phenomenal coach.
For the first time, we're not talking about Cam Rising at quarterback.
Thank you, he's gone.
What, 8 years it felt like in college? Or 100 years?
He spent more time in college football than I spent in grade school, dude.
Okay, that's pretty funny. That's pretty good.
But you know what? I see Utah as a very, very solid squad this year. I see them as a team that could overachieve and get the top half. Just because not only there's one transfer starting on the defensive side of the ball. Everybody else returning. And Utah had a little bit of a down year last year, but they reloaded for sure. Wayshawn Parker from Washington, he's the real deal. Devin Dampnier, he's pretty good. He's pretty solid. He's been pretty solid. I've heard good things about him.
Yeah. Isaac Wilson.
Yeah, I genuinely think this team is a top half team.
I agree.
And let's go ahead and go over their schedule really quick.
Yeah. So, do we want to go over the last year's players or just schedule?
You can do a little bit of both.
Okay. Yeah, I'll start off with some last year player stuff. So last year, Isaac Wilson passed for 1,510 yards. Micah Bernard had 1,009 yards rushing. Dorian Singer had 702 receiving yards. Lander Barton had 72 tackles. And Lander Barton also had 2 interceptions. And then players that are coming back for Utah this upcoming season is dun 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 dun. So yes, let's see, Evan Damper. Wait, hang on.
Yeah, Devin Dampnier. Yes, you got it.
And let's see who else. Yeah, a lot of people are comparing him to Alex Smith.
Yeah, I think he could be very, very solid. I think
Yeah.
the Utes obviously finish in the top half. Their schedule looks nice. I think they can beat UCLA. I don't know how good Nico's going to be. They're going to beat Cal Poly. They're going to beat Wyoming. Now Texas Tech could get a little interesting, but I think Texas Tech edges out a close victory just because Utah's at home. I think they beat West Virginia. I think they hold their own against Arizona and lose Arizona State. They beat BYU. Oh, I don't know if they beat BYU. I think they beat BYU at their place just because that defense is really good. I think they.
Okay.
I think they can beat Colorado. I think they can beat Cincinnati. I think they finish top half. I think they lose to Baylor, lose to Kansas State, and then they beat Kansas, finishing like 8-4.
That's fair. That's reasonable.
I think they're a top half team, and if you don't think that, you can argue with a wall. And then there was one, Country Roads, Take Me Home, West Virginia.
Fun fact about West Virginia: I watched on YouTube a podcast that had Jimbo Fisher on as their special guest. What's real ironic is that Jimbo Fisher was almost the head coach at West Virginia, where he grew up.
Wow,
he was almost the head coach there.
And yeah. That's a cool little story, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's an amazing story.
Yeah.
But when I look at this West Virginia roster, I see lots of transfers, lots of guys. I see a lot of production in the running back room. Jalen Knight and Jaheim White. I think former A&M Aggie Jalen Henderson.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's got some wheels. And he's a lefty, too.
I see lots of transfers, but I also see a lot of, I think Rich Rod is really going to right the ship here as an old coach of the Mountaineers. And I think the Mountaineers, I think they can make a bowl game just because, a lot of people are saying this is a rebuild year. But I think West Virginia, they have a very good coach. They have good skill people coming back. They have some decent skill people coming back. I think they go 6-6, 7-5, maybe 5.
I agree.
5-7 at the worst.
Yeah. So I would put them in the mid portion. And then so some guys from last year. So Garrett Green had 2,300 receiving yards. Jaheim White. Sorry, is it Jaheim or Raheem
Yeah,
White?
Jaheim. You got it.
Yeah, Jaheim White, 845 rushing yards. Hudson Clement had 741 receiving yards. Anthony Wilson Jr. had 102 tackles at safety. Anthony Wilson Jr. also had 2 interceptions, so he's a big part of their defense last year. And then some top players for the Mountaineers this year. Let me get this pulled up so we can see who's going to be under our radar. So Jaheim White and Cam Vaughn and cornerback Michael Coates.
Yeah, I don't know who's going to start for them at quarterback this year. I think Jalen Henderson might get the nod. Nico Marioch might get the nod, but I don't know. Yeah. But I think they surprised some folks this year. A lot of folks are saying this is going to be a rebuild season. I think they go out and make a bowl game.
I agree.
Let's see their schedule. Just real quick.
Yeah, so they take on Robert Morris. Should be an easy win at home.
I think they win.
At Ohio, Pittsburgh at home, at Kansas, Utah at home, at BYU, at UCF, TCU at home, at Houston, Colorado at home, at Arizona State, and then they finish the year off against Texas Tech at home.
Yeah, I see lots of wins on the table right there, but the transfers got to meld together, and I think they're going to meld together just fine. So I think West Virginia is going to do fine, like they always do. And
yeah,
that was our Big 12 tier list. That was a lot.
How about that?
We finished it, though, unlike the Big 10.
Yeah, that was it.
But that was Ethan Mailer and Drew Geltmeyer on the Holy Huddle. This is Ethan Mailer signing out. And let us know what y'all
We'll
think
see.
about this tier list. You know, I'd love to debate some of y'all in the comments.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, we've been starting to get some comments in the chat, and there's some people who have some opinions about what we're saying.
Yeah, and I really appreciate if y'all debate. If y'all are interested in that, let me know. But yeah, that's Ethan Mailer, the Holy Huddle, signing off once again.
This is Drew signing off. Holy Huddle.